there is a tale, whispered in the corners of inns, passed across the firelight of lonely camps, and carried upon the winds of the sea. It is a story of a sailor, old and weary, who wanders the earth without rest. His eyes are hollow, his beard is gray, and yet when he speaks, men lean forward, compelled to hear his words. For he is bound to tell his story again and again, to strangers and friends alike, until his life fades like mist upon the waves, and his tale begins long ago, upon a bright and fateful morning. The ship was strong, her sails gleaming white against the sky. The harbor bustled with farewells, and the laughter of sailors who carried no fear in their hearts. The sea lay open before them, vast and blue, sparkling like 1,000 diamonds beneath the sun. With cheers and songs, they loosed their ropes and set their course toward the unknown. The air was sweet with salt. The gulls circled and cried above them. The wind filled the sails with a booming breath, and the vessel leapt forward like a living thing. Spirits were high, for adventure awaited, and the men believed themselves favored by fortune. For many days they sailed in joy. They told tales upon the deck, sang songs that rang across the waters, and shared their bread and ale beneath the star-strewn sky. At night, they looked upon the heavens and felt themselves small yet strong, carried upon the breast of the world's great ocean. But as they pressed farther from home, the air grew colder. The laughter of the men fell quieter, replaced by the whisper of the wind as it sharpened. The waves rose and stiffened. Their breath misted in the air. The seas turned strange, and the compass spun uneasily. At last, they found themselves hemmed in by walls of ice. Towering cliffs of frozen water rose about them, stretching higher than the tallest spires of stone. The sea itself cracked and groaned, shards of ice drifting past the hull. The sun dimmed, pale as a ghost. It seemed to the sailors that they had entered another world, a land of silence and frost, where no man should wander. Their ship was small against that desolate wilderness, and many a sailor whispered prayers to his God, fearing they would never see the warmth of land again. And then it came the bird. From out of the mist, a great white albatross appeared. Its wings were vast, shining with the light of the pale sun. It circled the ship with a cry that echoed across the frozen wastes. At once the hearts of the sailors lifted. Hope, they cried, a guide, a blessing. For the albatross was no common bird. To those who sail the far seas, it is a holy sign, a creature that leads the lost from danger. Its presence was like fire to their frozen bones. The bird flew ahead of them, wheeling and calling, as though beckoning them forward. The ship followed, threading a path through the ice. Where the walls closed, the bird led them to a narrow channel. Where the fog thickened, its cry rang out, drawing them onward. Day by day, it remained with them. At times it perched upon the mast, its black eyes watching. At times it circled above the sails, white wings stretched against the gray sky. It ate what the sailors gave it, and it never left them. To the men, it was not just a guide, but a friend, a guardian angel in feathered form. Songs were sung of the albatross. Laughter returned to the crew. Even in the cold, even in the wastes, their spirits burned bright, for they believed themselves chosen by fate. But among them was one who looked with different eyes, the mariner. No man can say why his heart turned restless. Perhaps it was madness born of the endless cold. Perhaps it was pride, or envy, or some shadow that stirred within his soul. Whatever the cause, as he watched the albatross upon the mast, a strange thought seized him. To test his strength against the bird, to strike it down. One night, when the moon hung cold and white, the mariner raised his bow. The string sang, the arrow flew, and the albatross cried out once, and was still. It fell upon the deck, its wings outstretched in silence. The men gathered round it in horror. No laughter now, no songs, only dread. "What have you done?" they whispered, for they knew the truth. He had slain their hope. The sea answered their grief. The wind died. The sails hung limp. The waves stilled, and the ship drifted in silence. Day after day, the sun blazed above them, burning without mercy. The sea turned to glass, wide and empty. No breeze stirred. No cloud offered shade. The sailors grew weak. Their lips cracked. Their tongues swelled. Water was scarce, and though the sea stretched endless about them, not a drop could they drink. They cursed the mariner with dry voices. Their eyes burned with hatred, and to mark his crime, they lifted the bird. They hung the dead albatross about his neck, heavy and foul, its wings drooping, its eyes dim. "Behold the killer of the albatross," they said. The days crawled. The ship did not move. The sun and moon passed overhead like indifferent gods. The men wasted, their skin drawn tight, their strength fading. And all the while, they glared at the mariner, their hatred more terrible than the thirst. At last, one by one, they fell silent. Their bodies lay upon the deck, still and pale, yet their eyes remained open, fixed upon the mariner. He was alone, surrounded by the dead, the albatross rotting upon his chest. And still the ship drifted. Night came, and he lifted his weary eyes to the sea. Beneath the silver light of the moon, the water stirred with strange life. Shapes moved beneath the surface, slimy, coiling creatures, their scales glimmering with colors, unearthly and beautiful. At first he shuddered, for they seemed unnatural. But as he watched, something softened in his heart. He saw them not as horrors, but as wonders, living things, each blessed in its own form. Their movements were strange, their glow was soft, their beauty undeniable. And in his weariness, words rose from his lips. "Blessed be you, O creatures of the deep. Blessed be all who live in the waters." The moment he spoke, the weight of the curse began to break. The albatross slipped from his neck and fell into the sea. The the waters stirred, and a wind whispered once more into the sails. The ship moved again, yet the mariner was not free. No, the sea had marked him. He was spared, but not released. The dead crew rose with empty eyes, their hands working the ropes, their feet treading the deck, as though some spirit compelled them. He stood among them, terrified, yet powerless. At last, the ship carried him back to land. The moment it touched the shore, the corpses fell, lifeless once more, and the mariner stumbled upon the earth, shaken and broken. There he heard a voice, not of man, but of spirit. It told him that his penance was not to die, but to live, to wander the world, forever telling his tale, that others might learn. And so he does. To this day, he walks among towns and villages, across fields and through cities. His eyes are haunted, his beard is long, and his voice is low. Yet when he begins to speak, none can turn away. For his tale is bound to their hearts. And what is his lesson? Harm not the creatures of the world. Do not strike the birds of the air, nor the fish of the sea, nor the beasts of the land. All life is holy. All life is woven into the web of the world. To break one strand is to shake the whole. This is the mariner's tale, a tale of sin and sorrow, of loss and redemption, a tale to haunt the heart and guide the hand. And as he wanders, weary yet unceasing, he whispers to all who will listen, love all things, fear the wrath of the sea, and remember the albatross,